All right, what's up, everyone? Greg here from Project Unbroken. So, as many of you know, I've been 8 to 9 years clean off heroin now, and 6 off methadone, where I took my last dose of methadone actually about exactly 6 years ago today. So, of course, in that time, I've rebuilt my life, and now Matt and I are just trying to share, our journey and help other people kind of get on the path to recovery and, happy recovery, not just recovery, but being happy as well. So what I want to talk about today, for those of you who feel like drugs or alcohol are your best friend, and I think that's pretty common with addicts, is they feel like drugs or alcohol, whatever their choice is, whatever their drug of choice, or if it's alcohol, it's their best friend. That's how they identify themselves. I know for me, with heroin, that was my best friend. When I wasn't comfortable, heroin made me feel comfortable. When I was kind of losing sight of myself or losing my sanity, heroin made me sane. It made me find myself again. When I was in a social situation and I was uncomfortable, heroin made it totally fine. So pretty much heroin fixed all my problems, right? The reason I want to talk about this today is I have a good friend, and we've been working together online now for about 5 years, and she has a drinking problem. She's having a problem with drinking for about 20 years now. And she knows my story, how I kind of dug out of heroin addiction and through methadone and other drugs and kind of rebuilt myself. So she's always asking me questions. And she was asking me recently, over the past couple of weeks, she's been asking me a lot more questions. And I explained this to her in a different way where I think it really resonated with her. And since it resonated with her, I figured I'd explain it to you guys. Maybe it'll help you as well. Different people take things in differently, in different ways, and kind of resonate with different things. So maybe this will be the video that helps you. So she was kind of explaining how alcohol is her best friend. That's kind of what her comfort. She always goes to it when she's uncomfortable. And what I explained to her is, I look at drugs or alcohol, whatever your addiction is, like a narcissist. Now, I don't know how many of you know what a narcissist is, but a narcissist is someone who is, you meet them and they're very charming and they seem like a perfect person, so nice and, just this great person. And they reel you in and they get you trusting. And the best of narcissists will push you away from your family. They'll push you away from your friends, and they'll make you totally reliant on them. And then their real self comes out. And by that time, it's too late. So I look at drugs and alcohol, for me, heroin, as like the perfect narcissist. So there's no better version than heroin for me. That is the perfect narcissist. So why is that? Well, because the heroin made me feel like that was the only thing that could make me feel like myself, right? And that's what a perfect narcissist will do. They'll make you feel like you can't survive without them. Like they are your only go-to to survive, right? And that's what a narcissist wants. A narcissist, the best of them, they want you completely dependent on them so they have total control over you. And that's what heroin did to me, right? So I kind of explained it to her in that way. And I said, it's like the perfect, like the biggest wolf in sheep's clothing you've ever met. And she was like, man, you're right. Like that's the way it is. And the reason that is like I said, with a narcissist, they'll make you feel like they are like the perfect thing. And they make, of course you need them to feel comfortable. You need them to feel secure. You need them for everything. But what you don't realize is they're really the cause of all that. They're the reason you can't feel secure. They're the reason you can't feel comfortable. They're the reason that you have no identity. Like they are your identity, but they're the reason for that. But most victims of narcissists, they either never see it or they see it too late, where they can't turn it around. And really, drugs and alcohol are, when you're really addicted to something like that, they are the perfect form of a narcissist. So when I explained it to her like that, it actually really resonated, and she's now been clean 9 days. And the other thing I kind of explained with that as well was she would always, I noticed in her emails to me, she would always explain like, I've been going this long this time, or, I got to make it this long. And I said, look, one thing that really helped me when I was getting clean was, because I did that too, it was like, let me see how long I can go, right? I did that for a long time and I always failed. When I finally turned it around, it wasn't let me see how long I can go. It was that's it. Like I'm done. like that this is over, like it's like I'm done, that's it, right? And there's a huge difference between the two, because when you say let me see how long I can go, you get to a certain point, you're like, all right, well, you know, this is the longest I've ever gone. I deserve a reward, right? And that's how you end up using again. Even if you don't, you're like, well, I'm just not going to make it to my mark this time. Like, I just, you know, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not going to make it this time. Then you use. Whereas when you totally cut it off in your brain, you're like, all right, that is it. You are a whole lot less likely to start using again because there's less excuses, right? But when you say, let me see how long I go, that opens yourself up to all types of excuses you can use to use again, all right? So those are two things that I explained to her in these emails we've been going back and forth, and she's now been 9 days clean. Actually, I think today will be 10. I'll have to touch in with her. So this is the longest she's gone in a long time, and I feel like the whole narcissist wolf in sheep's clothing, you know, thing, and then of course switching from let me see how long I can go to that's it, were two major things that helped her really start changing things and maybe turning things around this time, maybe doing it for good this time, hopefully. And we'll see what happens. But hopefully that helps you. You know, sometimes recovery is really about perspective and looking at things a little differently. And you know, one last thing, I'll do another video on it by itself, but one major thing that you have to do is not just quitting, but changing yourself. You know, that's the hard part. Is a lot of people, they focus so much on quitting, but really what you got to do to quit is to totally change yourself. So if you focus more on changing yourself rather than quitting, just not using, just focus more on bettering yourself, that's something that can really help as well. All right, but I'll shoot a video on that another day, because that's something I could probably do a whole video on. So hopefully this helps you. You know, if you feel like drugs or alcohol are your best friend, they're not your best friend. They are the extreme narcissist. They are putting you exactly where they want you. They are making you totally dependent on them to where you will not feel like yourself unless you have them, right? And many of you are probably at that point if you're watching this video. If you start looking at them in that way, like this isn't my friend, they aren't really making me feel better, they're really tricking me, it could help you, you know, turn things around. So hope you all enjoyed this video. I haven't shot one in a while, so hopefully I wasn't too rusty. Let me know how I did. Let me know if this helps you. I'll see y'all soon.